I'm Catalina Flore. I'm your host. Hello from the Netherlands. Please feel free to share in the chat where you're coming from in the world. I am a fellow coach, an executive coach, and leadership development trainer, and also an integrative health coach. And it's my honor to be your host today. Thank you so much for putting your cameras on, as this is our way to have an eye-to-eye conversation in today's experience. This is going to be even more appreciative for our special guest today, which actually, we are in for a treat. We have 1 hour together. It's going to be about 45 minutes presentation and 50 minutes Q&A. We have a wonderful human being, Dr. Bill Price, with us, Dr. Bill. And it's my great honor to introduce you today. And Dr. Bill is a strategic sage, a master coach, a soulful guide to CEOs, to executives, and even African royalties. And with over 24 years of leadership development across 32 Anglo-African countries, he brings not only deep wisdom, but a presence that awakens something powerful in every room he enters. And that's very important, what kind of energy do we bring into a room. And I see David, hello from New England, and Terry from Hertfordshire, England, and very good to see you and wishing you health, David. Good to have you here. Coming back to Dr. Bill, Dr. Bill holds an honorary PhD on his transformative leadership work in Africa, and also an academic PhD in holistic integrated executive coaching within a global context. And whether he's facilitating strategy with global leaders, activating neural flow, or harmonizing heart and mind in the boardroom, this is an excellent skill. Dr. Bill brings in an African rhythm, a global vision, and also a dry sense of humor that kickstarts a dessert. So it's very wonderful to have you. Also, Dr. Bill received a global Gold Award from African Global Professional Body of Executive Coaches and Mentors. So it's fantastic, and he has many more accolades. I'm not going to take the time now to tell them all, but you are going to enjoy and benefit from his magic and brilliant mind. So please join me in welcoming the legendary, the conscious provocateur, Dr. Bill Price. Thank you for having us here and having a wonderful session today on many topics, but preparing our mindset and going deeper into the intricacy of the mindset to help us lead and have a wonderful life. Hi, Dr. Bill.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. And I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you for creating space in this realm in which we live called time. Otherwise, life will just go by as time. But when you pause time and you in a way, we can control our time. And we can control our time by making a few pre-selected decisions. And being a neuroscientist and also busy finalizing my further study, so I haven't stopped studying since I left school. I hated school and be very, very average. And then when I came out of school, I decided there's more to life than school. And so I've never stopped studying since then. So my present field of study right now is the world of neuroeducation. I've done neuroscience and neuroplasticity, so I understand a little bit more about how the mind and the brain function. And it's a passion of mine. My backdrop used to be a counseling psychologist, and then I moved into a little bit of industrial psychology, and then moved into the cognitive neuroscience, which was a place that was waiting for me to blossom. And I'm just wondering where you are blossoming, and I'm wondering, what are you blossoming about? So I wonder if you could just unmute yourself and just quickly tell me that. I'd love to hear that. So tell me, what part of your being, what part of your life is blossoming? In me, it's my mind is blossoming with all the beauty of neuroscience and the magnificence of neuroscience, because I superimpose that on people, like I am doing that to you right now. I see you as someone who is extremely valuable. I see you as someone who is absolutely equipped with intention, capacity, and competency and ability to make your life a success. I see in you the dream that you have been collaborating with on the inside in your mind all the time. And there's been many a battle, I guess, in your mind where you have had to have this stand-up fight with my dream because it's not coming into line. And so when I've stopped fighting, but I have started drinking wine. And I found out that when you drink wine, you forget about the battle, and I don't care who wins then at that stage. But tomorrow we'll pick up the fight again. No doubt. So tell me a little bit about, where are you blossoming in your life right now?
So,
This mustn't be like a barbershop, next please, next please. I want it to be like a popcorn. Pop, 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 pop.
so who would like to go first? Lorraine, would you like to go first? I'm looking at you. I saw the
Yeah.
smile. Oh,
Oh, what a lovely introduction. That's so inspiring. I love that. Um, wow. I think for me, my life experience is not just about the work that I've done, it's about what I've had to get through. I've had to get through a lot of tough things, and I'm going through something really major at the moment. But I suppose underneath it all, it's that kind of knowing that I'm going to be okay. And also my work really guides me because I know that I'm in the right profession. I know that working with people, making a difference, having that kind of empathy and understanding through my own experiences has also helped in helping to guide them through it. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but I think that is something that I know deep within, that I'm making a difference. It's not just me saying it, it's other people, it's feedback that I've had. And yeah, that gives me that kind of strength within to keep going with the work that I do.
Thank you so much. Wow. And are you enjoying it?
I've actually been out of work for 3 months, but I've got another job. I have got a job and I'm trying to set up a business as well.
Okay.
I do. I love what I do. I couldn't think of doing anything else. When I'm in the conversation with somebody, I feel it. I feel it on a deep, profound level. And I do sometimes say to clients, I wouldn't really want to be anywhere else but here, in this kind of conversation, in this moment. So it's very meaningful for me, the work that I do.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that with so much passion.
Thank you.
Terry?
Hi, Dr. Price. Hi, everyone. It's a very good question you ask. And I guess it changes as we go along. But at the moment, my main work is in the driver training industry, and I train people to become driving instructors. And the thing for me at the moment is it's not about the skill. It's what leads people to those decisions when they're driving. And I love how the brain works. I love to find out, ever since I read The Inner Game, which drew me to your workshop by Tim Galway, I've always been fascinated by how the brain works and how you make decisions in the inner me. And just passing on knowledge that I've got and knowledge that I'm always gaining, as we all are, to these driving instructors to then pass on to their students to help them get home safely at night, instead of wrapping their car around a tree with their friends in it. That's kind of what's important to me, and hopefully where I'm blossoming.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. I love your quiet, centered demeanor. It takes me back to when my father taught me to drive the car for the first time, and we went in South Africa, they are called plantations, so they are man-made, planted, not a forest, but they just planted the trees, and then you could ride anywhere amongst them, and that was always the fun part of it. But I had a driver instructor who was a fire chief, so he was very strict, and I had to do 10 things at the same time. And can you believe it? I was perspiring after every lesson. And so here I am, and I have survived, and everybody near me when I was driving has also survived to date. So it must have worked. Lovely, lovely. David, you want to give us some of your wisdom?
Yeah, well, I don't know about, certainly don't know about wisdom, but excuse me, sorry, as I put in the text, so like keeping my camera off. So I've just had eye surgery recently, so I have to keep taking my glasses on and off to sort of rest my eyes. I think, I mean, sort of, like similar to what Terry was saying. So like I've read sort of like way back, so like Tim Galway's sort of like Inner Game. So excuse my dog's going bonkers. And I have very fond memories of making some horrendous mistakes when I was learning to drive. The main one being because I used to ride a bike, and the infamous words of just pull over a little bit and pulling the wrong way, think, oh, I must need to go that way, and getting half of the car underneath a 40-foot trailer before the driving instructor sort of screamed. And I thought, oh, you mean the other way then? But it's there's a reason why I mentioned that, which is this sort of like clarity and perception. And I think the area that for me that I like to focus on is sort of like our perception of what's going on with other people, like what's going on with ourselves. How can it be seen from like a variety of different angles? And as a result of that, I found like certainly over the years that my focus on the things that interest me so like has become a lot more narrow, not in so much as wanting to exclude certain things, but I'm more interested in other topics that sort of like help me with that. I'm really interested in choice. And things such as the classic quote from The Godfather of, he made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and saying, well, actually, that's not true. Okay, it's just a different. It's a different outcome that you're going to get. You still have choice, okay, but yeah. So there's always this thing. So when I'm working with people, and also sort of like when I'm working with coaches, when I'm working with accrediting sort of courses, is always that question about, right, okay, that's what you intend, but how else could it be, like how else could it be seen? So it's all of those sorts of things that so like I enjoy, and like everybody, I've got other things, so like other personal things going on that I recognize that, right, sometimes just being able to say, well, it is what it is, and getting on with that, works. So those would be my little insights.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. See, I told you his wisdom is amazing, and I have a deep, deep, deep respect for David. Thank you for the privilege of knowing you. I really do appreciate that.
So, may I ask you a question?
Please do.
Dr. Bill? So, you've been called by many a strategic sage. And what does being a sage mean in a modern business world? And how can we awaken this wisdom within ourselves as leaders or coaches? And of course,
Thank you
they
so-
touched on choice, which is very important. So,
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. If there was a word that I would change in my bio, and I'm in a flux period myself right now where I'm very interestingly reinventing a whole lot of things about me. One of which is that word sage. And I'm noticing sage is a choice of a word of an older generation type person, and is usually known as a person who has a certain amount of wisdom, a certain amount of understanding, etc., etc. And I was coaching a young CEO last week, and he said to me the same thing. He said, I read in your bio, you are a strategic sage, but after being in a session with you, I discovered that you are a strategic specialist. And so I thought, wow, that's quite interesting. So I'm going to superimpose the word specialist rather than generalist, and I specialize in helping people. So when we look at what coaching is all about, we've got, here's the person that's going to be coached. They have got their own world in which they want to live. They have inside of them their own inner world, and these two worlds sometimes clash, and then this person will come along and he'll call a coach. So let's put the coach there. And then this person has a capacity. So this person here has competency, capacity, skills, knowledge, intelligence, drive, ego, personality, all of that, and a beautiful, alive, soulfully alive brain. And then they live and they take up space. Some of it, for instance, this part of the circle, the person can be good at. Below that this is where I'm most people also have, I'm average at, then I'm good at, and then this whole process of growing is a personal journey where they give themselves permission to transform, and then you move through a transformational phase, and then you become great at something. Now, we can stop the train here and be great all the time for as much as we want. And there was a psychologist, I think it's Pink, who wrote a book, and he said, you can have 10,000 hours and that'll make you a master. If you put your heart and your soul and everything and energy into it, 10,000 hours doing a version of the same, which I find difficulty with, then you can call yourself, I'm a master at something. The International Association of Professional Coaches and Mentors, just like Commence in South Africa and other coaching bodies, they will go, you are credentialed level 1, then there's so many hours of coaching that you've done. Level 2, there's so many hours that you've done. Level 3 is master, and then there you've got to have 2,500 hours logged coaching that you have and that you can produce. Understanding neurology, there's a new understanding for me, and that is if you take one of these hours, so if you take one of these hours over here, that 1 hour, and I'm about to start a new hour, but with the same things, whatever goes in here doesn't always fill up the total space in the second hour. Because what you've done with learning, you've learned to condense. You've learned to condense it, and therefore you become quicker at it and better at it. And that's your expertise. So what we need to do to become a real master is, if we have 10,000 of these, I need to learn something brand new. And whatever I've learned, so I've got to go here, I go into reflection, and I reflect and I notice I can be doing that more. So now I apply and I work with, I'm going to do my second of my 10,000 hours, but I'm going to add what I have learned in reflection, because we don't learn future focused. You don't learn anything when you're in the future. You only observe, and the same in the past. You can only observe in the past. So here's my little add-on in my second of my 10,000, and the story goes on and on. So every hour they might get smaller, it might be larger, but that process here is where I adjust. A second organizational psychologist who've just recently written a marvelous work goes and he says, I want to introduce you to the 100,000 hours. So there you've got 10, up to there's 10, but the rest, that's 90,000 hours. And that's usually the amount of time that we spend in our occupation in our lifetime. And so the question that he poses in his work is, what am I doing with these 10,000? Do they stay in the past? Or do I take whatever I have learned in each of these and I continue to add them into the 90,000 over there? Then I'm following, and he used the model called Maslow's theory of transcendence. And what are we doing about the 100,000 hours that I'm going to be alive in work? Do I take what I've mastered and weave it into that? If so, then I'm being wise and then I'm growing. I had an African mentor, a young, lovely, amazing guy, and he said to me, Dr. Bill, I've just got something, I've got two things I want to share with you. Number one, he said, you must learn that you must know that you are not going to learn anything from the second kick of a donkey. You've got to learn everything with the first kick. Don't go back into the field bend forward and tell the donkey, I'd like to go to that experience again, please, so I can just make sure that what I felt a few moments ago, I'm going to feel the same. But just do it on the other side for me, because the first side is quite painful. So he said, if you mustn't learn from the second kick of the donkey. You learn once and then get out of the field. And the second thing that he shared with me is, he said, Dr. Bill, the day you stop learning and integrating, that was interesting for me, that little word called integration, because you can learn something and that's knowledge, and you can recite a formula and recite whatever, and we feel clever. But he said you need to integrate that into your life. So we need to take these little bits of reflection, of learning from a distance in each of our hours, and then we must weave them into these 100,000 hours, and then we're becoming masterful. Because coaching can become very boring very quickly. So this person over here deploys Coach A and says, Coach A, I want you to coach me now. So this area over here is the unknown. And I need to make a transition into here. And that transition, the only way I can make it is through a challenge. One of the instructions we need to give our supervisors, and what we as coaches need to give other coaches that we're asking to coach us. So I've got 3 coaches that are busy coaching me right now. And I've asked them all, please, would you challenge me so that I can get into this space here called unknown. And in this space, the moment I'm in the space and I become aware, consciously aware, that this is something new that I can grow into, it's going to improve me. So therefore, I have an open mind to embrace it. Then suddenly this opens up to a second tier for me. And this is called my growth area. And here, once I have awareness and once I have taken the challenge on and I've turned the unknown into a friend, I then begin to grow, and I give myself another set of permission over here to make the transfer to go into there towards growth. Now, this process here is called a high performance person. I'm in a collab right now, which is another growth experience for me for the next 6 months of my life. And I'm paying for it. That person who is heading up the collab is an amazing neurocognitive behavioral scientist. And he says there's another place over here which is also the unknown, but what's different here we have the unknown, and here we have, I wonder if. And this space here he calls a meta performer. So if ever you have thought, I've grown to a particular space in time that I have improved, and I'm guessing that you all are, we all are in this process. But the beauty of this process is you cannot go through a challenge without having someone else. So deploy a coach. and give them instruction. Please challenge me. I want to move into the world of my unknown, and I want to learn to know what I do not know. And then when I know what I do not know, then build into that what I do not know and make it part of myself. Nothing happens in life. No changes take place in life unless there's a new me. All change, David, I've discovered lately in this course, starts with an identity change. In your deepest essence, you give yourself permission to be and become the change. So both Gandhi and Mandela told the world and encouraged them, be the change that you want, be the change that you want to desire, become that change. And when we start with coaching, if we look at, because here's the possibility, and the beauty of it is all of this here has been inbreathed and wired into us in a very, very special way, because we are soulfully alive beings. We're not just an intellectual alive being that buzzes with information. We're a soulfully, intellectually alive person that buzzes with consciousness, that buzzes with aliveness, that buzzes with intentionality, that buzzes with intuitiveness, that buzzes with invention, influence, impact. All of that is already within us and deeply built within our neurology. So the coach has now been deployed for this person here. So this person says to the coach, here I am, and I am now at place X. But I want to be here. So that's X.2. Here I am an identity. Here I'm a new identity. So in my journey of fulfilling all the action tasks, the growth projects, the grow model, the action steps and strategies, I have to include me into the growth process. So the question the coach needs to ask is, so who are you differently here than you are here? Because you grow into a new identity, and as you grow into this new identity, the new identity gives you the ability to give yourself permission to be much more than who you were here. So I'd like you to pause for a moment. So in neuroscience and in neuroeducation, they say the first 23, 24 minutes, we then need to give the brain a break. So I'm going to ask you just to be quiet with me for a moment. And I'd like you to take 8 deep breaths in and out. Pull your shoulders back as you breathe. Feel comfortable to close your eyes. And we're not going to do any or say anything or play any music. I just want you to allow your brain and your consciousness in your brain to do some realigning work. This has been measured by Harvard and Stanford and Yale, 3 of the top, and 2 universities in Tokyo, neuroscience specialist universities, that the brain automatically asks for a pause so that it can do that, so that it can do self-reflect. And you do that in silence. So just carry on breathing. Breathe in. And breathe out. Great. I invite you, let's put some energy in our body. So just stretch out your hands, move to the side, go up. Let's get some energy going in our muscles. Putting some energy back, because that's who we are in our neurology. So if we are a trainer and we carry on training past the 23, 24 minutes, the unconscious brain switches on a self-defense mechanism. And so for the next 17 minutes, if you don't have that 2-minute break, your brain says, okay, you disrespect me. I'm now going to shut off concentration. I'm going to close down on retention. And the person who's lecturing, or the minister who's preaching, going beyond 23 minutes and not giving his audience a bit of a break, then the person who is the listener, that brain listens to an audio tape, and if you had to play it back, it sounds like blah, 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 blah. So when you are having an argument with your spouse, time it, and when you reach 22 minutes, give the time signal, say, honey, let's just pause, let's just take a breath, and 2 minutes, and then you come back into the fight and make sure that you win. Okay, so that was a joke. All right, so here we are, and what we have is capacity to grow, we have competency to grow, but there's a very other interesting thing in growth, and that is the presence of another. A presence of another. Being married to Estelle for 52 years, I can tell you that every growth moment in my life, most of them were because she began to challenge me, and she began to see things in me that I didn't want to see in me, and was brave enough to share some of that information. And so I had to put my ego aside many times, had to stop playing personality games and going, this woman is a mirror. And every time I look inside that mirror, it's telling me the reality. So the truth and the reality are the same interplay. So I'm talking about the inside world of a coach. What is the inside world of a coach? The inside world of a coach, there's this diagram, and there's this diagram of, here I am now. There's this diagram of a timeline, and that timeline takes me up into the future. So there's my future. Here is my known reality, how I have formulated. And here is my new version. So I'm no longer using the word vision or mission anymore. My new version of a brand new reality. To formulate that, so this can be a year, or it could be months, and then this last one is the year, say, so that's in 226 December. That's where I would like to be. My new version of my reality includes the new version of me. What new skills, what new knowledge, what new understanding have I come to? Where have I shifted and adjusted? And one of the things that has kept us sane in our 52 years of marriage is that we don't get it right all the time, but every year, Estelle and I will go for a break and we will revisit each other's life plan. And then we ask, I want to introduce you to the new Bill, because I've lived a life for a year, but I have changed. If I haven't, then please slap me, because then what was the worth of living and walking in a circle to be the same at the end of the year as I was at the beginning. So sameness is a sure sign of apathy. It's a sign of non-growth. It's a sign of, dare I say it, it's a sign of possible fear, anxiety, because I'm anxious to want to change. And here you have the wonderful power of the neurology of the brain saying to you, you are right, I don't want you to change. So your subconscious is the place of protection. It is the place of where you have your parasympathetic nervous system that wants you to flee, flight, freeze, faint, or fellowship. And it wants you to say the same. Its entire purpose, our unconscious has one purpose, and that is, I do not want you to change. Because that means change. And oh my goodness, you've got to change the way you're doing, the way you're thinking, the way you whatever. So change is not just making up my mind differently. Change is me giving myself permission to transform into the new identity that I need to be. And for that, I need a few things. So one of the things that I need inside me, inside my being as a coach, is I've got to learn that I've got to be aware. Consciously aware, alert. You can read up on it and ask ChatGPT to give you some of it. There's some people that have written that there are 7 levels of awareness. I've been working with a model that has 4 levels of awareness. So level 1 is the shallow level of life is all about me. It's all about me. It's just me. The world revolves around me. Why must this happen to me? Why must this happen to my children? Why? And so that's a very shallow level. The second level is where we become aware that there's more than me. And now I'm holding on and going, hold on. So I'm not the only smart aleck here. And I'm not the only person that wants everything for myself. And I open up for the possibility that there is something bigger than where I am at presently now. Then the third level of consciousness or awareness is where I make the space for the bigness of something else to walk onto my stage. The scary moment, but that's a particular level of consciousness. And then the fourth level of consciousness is where I come to the place to realize that most things that happen in life are going to happen because there's a reason, and I need to learn to fight less with it and to work more with it and have an open mind for that to happen. So I plan my life and I create a trajectory that says, I want to go there. And in my coaching business, it's like, here it is. That's where I want to be. This area here inside the cloud is more customers or new customers that I want. This area over here are the present customers that I have or relationships that I have. But if I want to forge ahead and grow, then there's 2 things that I have to do. And I have to do sales and I have to do marketing. If I don't do these 2, there's no cutting edge for the beachhead that I need to break into more over here in this space. How much more? That depends on you and I as to how we want to define it. You can define it in any other way that you want. We also got to be aware of this amazing thing here called risk, which is going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not. That risk means it puts pressure on the trajectory, and from this point, it can shift my trajectory 1 degree if I'm unaware. I will allow that trajectory to move on and on and on and on and on. And by the time I have come back to pay attention to this 1 degree over here, and I haven't paid attention, I let it slide. I never work with my frustrations. I never work with the things that I'm tolerating, and I just allow things to happen. And I move into a victim mentality. I watch my life losing the direction of the trajectory, and I'm going to land up somewhere here, and it's not there. It's not exactly there. And the distance between there and there is 17 miles. So here I pack my bag, I'm going to the moon, I take the sandwiches, get in, blast off we go. Something happens in outer space, negligible, 1%, slight movement, ta-da! I tap the dial, must be something wrong with the dial, let's carry on with our journey. Anybody want another Coke or wine? And we carry on unaware, and this is going to go on because it can. And when I get there, here I'm singing, fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, woo, da, da, da. And when I'm there and I look at the window, I look at the moon and going, oh my goodness, we've missed the moon by 17 miles. And then they ask silly questions like, how did we get here? You got here because you were unaware that you were unaware. Our job as coaches is to bring people into awareness of the new version of the reality of where they want to be and the present version of reality of where they are now. In the cohort that I'm busy with, they are starting us off with something which is called True North. So over here, I'm going to give my version of True North. Looks something like that. And my True North is a compilation of my dream of more, what that must look like. It's a compilation of, so if that's what's going to look like, and that's what I'm going to do over here, I want a business that I can be free, that I can travel, then I can do international speaking and travel at the same time, that I can do all these marvelous things. And that's what I want. But if I don't build it into my true north in terms of I build it into my value, why do I want to travel? Well, my values is my family and it's me. So if you do not put yourself in your value system, then you're missing the entire plot. So I'd like you to look for that at the moment and take our 2 minutes now and just relax. And take 2 deep breaths in, hold it, and breathe out, and breathe in, and breathe out. I invite you, before I carry on coaching is to cognitively ask your brain this question. I wonder. It could be anything. I'm wondering about anything. As I look at this is about a journey, I guess. I wonder if I have a true north. I wonder if I have a very well-formed new version of reality of where I want to go. I wonder if I am aware of these risks, which are both internal and external. I wonder if I'm aware of the timeline. So in my college that we train people to be coaches in, we've now had to plan that AI must send every single student every 5 weeks a prodding email that reminds them of the day of final exam and the day of graduation. In this journey, I've been journeying this journey, and I'm going to plot myself and say, okay, I guess that's where I am. So this is nearly 3 decades of me as the coach with a business and being a coach. But here is what I've absolutely realized. My mind has been traveling with me all the time on this journey for 28 years. And about there, I was coached by someone who really challenged my awareness. And the reason why I'm on this collab is because I'm wanting to pay attention to the wonderful reality of, has my business grown? And my reality is the model that I had never really changed drastically in any way. The area that brought me into a feeling of I'm walking in spirals over here is because I let the coach run the business. If you want to run the business, you have to put on a mindset of a CEO and own your business. And when you've got the mindset of a CEO, it means that you think like a business owner, that you've got a budget, that you're looking at your formulas, that you can say where's your cash flow going and not. So I'm not just a helper in my business. I'm following model of marketing, operations, sales, finances, system, scalability. I also need to have a value creation mindset that I am evolving, because what I was doing was over here, there was no evolving, and here I am. And from here, I'm now going to get to there. I've got to do a lot of evolving. And so I redefined my true north. And I realized that I have to redefine the mindsets that I have to be able to take my business, because the same mindset that created the problem will not get you to where you want to be. So I've got to have value creation mindset. I've got to have visibility mindset. Are people seeing me? Are they aware of me? I've got to have a client-centric mindset. I've got to have an innovation mindset. I've got to have an abundance mindset. I've got to have resilience mindset, which is already in my consciousness. I've got to learn from these mindsets and get feedback. I have got to have branding mindset. How is my brand shifted in the years? And then, most important of all, I've discovered that I must have a system, which was absent here. So working with these realities, we are now learning in the collab that you have to ask yourself a few critical questions, and I'll close in 3 minutes. The critical question is, what is my niche? And you can't say anybody and everybody on the planet. That's not a niche, that's called a population. My niche must be clearly connected to my experience and to my speciality. I've discovered I'm changing the niche and I'm putting in speciality into the process. All my decisions, so every single decision that I'm going to make must work through all of those, pay attention to where I'm going, and when I can tick it off, I'm going in the correct way, and it includes all of this, and part of the experience is also my energy, then that decision is the right decision. So I don't just make a decision based on my values. I make my decision based on my time that I've got available, money that I want to create and wealth, energy, where am I going to put that? Creative affluence, where is that going to come into my picture? Relational affluence with my clients and with my team and with myself, and impact. Am I making an impact while I'm on this new trajectory? And when I do impact and relational and creativity and energy and wealth and money and time, then things come together. Then it's almost as if my goals and my values knit together, and I begin to either, and I close with this, and you can check where you are in your life. So wherever you are on your trajectory, here's my first question. Are you flourishing? Remember when I opened up, I said, where are you blooming? Are you flourishing in your business? Are you flowing in your business? Are you just functional in your business? Or is your business fragmented? Or is your business where you have lots of friction? If you have friction, fragmented, those are the two dragging anchors for any death knell to be heard in a business. If you're just functional, then you are not fulfilling the role of the CEO. The CEO must check that these flourishing, flowing, and functional are captivated and used in the trajectory so that I can achieve my true north. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we as coaches need to be very much alive and very much aware in our coaching business.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. It was packed with golden nuggets and helping us, you know, to become more aware about our own development, learning, become more conscious in life and, you know, and as coaches, because we can look from many perspectives, right? Coaches as a person and coaches as a coach and a business owner and so on. Lots of knowledge. We need to sleep very well and integrate very well this wonderful information. And we are at top of the hour, but we still have some questions. And I'm going to read them to you. And while you think, I would suggest our participants to take their minute of reflection, which is very important, that you said, in the learning process,
Yeah.
to complete their CPD. Okay. And please take 60 seconds. And the questions are for Dr. Bill. I'm gonna read two. One is, I wonder whether this is from Lorraine. I wonder whether it's belief that creates the risk more. So because we can be aware and still go off course.
Just repeat the question. I
I
wonder.
wonder whether it's belief that creates the risk more. So because we can be aware and still go off course. And do you want me to read also the second question?
Okay, let me have a bash at the first one. The neurology of the living mind is not just cognitively aware. The left-right brain hemisphere theory is a theory. It's not validated.
No, anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been a shift. So the entire mind wakes up, and when you watch people making decisions with electrodes put onto their heads, you'll see the brain is lighting up all over the place, goes right down to the base of the brain, comes up to the prefrontal cortex, to the side, then goes deep inside, then it goes there. And it's like an orchestration of one belief that goes everywhere in the brain at the same time. So it knocks on millions of doors. So we are extremely complex. Sadly, our psychology has taken it and said, okay, yes, so the 7 levels of thinking. Yeah, here we go with that. There's more than that. So people that I'm busy training with in coaching, we're training now the model, the neuroscience model, that you've got 15 senses, not 5. So there are far more, or there is far more to a question, because it will end up with, okay, here's how I'd like to define the question. It's about, I wonder whether I believe. But there's a whole lot of other things that have clustered and that belief has pulled together and is holding, and it looks like belief from the outside. But inside, it's this myriad of things that are happening with magnificence and amazingness. And that's why I am absolutely in awe of the neuro side of our being, where there's not an ego and where there's not personality. There's just you and there's just me and our neurology. And it's our neurology that's creating the dance to come up to a conclusion, to be faced with consequences, to then realign with these consequences, learn from it, and then adapt and realign again, so that my prefrontal cortex has been programmed for purpose.
Yeah.
My subconscious has been programmed for safety. Oh my goodness, don't go there. Don't think that thought. Don't do that. Or overthink everything. My
Yeah, you know,
answer is an observation.
yeah. So awareness, consciousness, creativity, you know, we know that the brain is not made to keep us happy, but to keep us safe. So we need to work on our happiness and on our evolution. And being aware and becoming more conscious, this is very, very important to change our perspective and identities. And we have also a question from Cynthia about that 1%. Could it be that that 1% might end up being something good?
Yes, yes. When I look in my past life, where I was in leadership in cognitive leadership, and I had to fulfill a bit of a pastoral role in the organization, and I didn't notice the 1% was that people were not happy with me in the way in which I was doing certain things. And of course, they didn't say anything until there. There, I was asked to leave. And that was a trauma for me. Looking back there, it has now become that there has become this place, that little cross there, on a new trajectory. So I came and bounced back, found the original version on reality. And yes, that 1% has brought me into a marvelous future. So here I am, 70 plus. I'm looking at the world differently. I've got a 15-year plan that wants to change African education and change the coaching industry and add value to the coaching industry. So that 1 degree turned out something bad there, had I allowed it. But I went through bitterness, and I went through 2 years here of counseling. And the flip side of it was that I came back and I found what I should have been busy with over here.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe it's also important to think about choices as just being different and not necessarily better or worse, and that each choice entitles a kind of loss, whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
thank you for this. Yeah.
Now that question was an amazing question. I've never been asked that question in 20 years of coaching. So thank you for allowing me to give myself permission to rethink it and come up with a reflective answer, kind of live on stage.
Yeah. And thank you so much for your generosity in giving us so many things to reflect on and to take further and forward into our life, into evolving into next identities and creating magic in the world. Thank you for Cynthia. She has also a lot to think about. With this, we ended up having a longer than planned session, but I hope that everybody got an immense value, including yourself, Dr. Bill. Thank you so much for sharing the time and space with us. Thank you for inspiring. Thank you from Lorraine. And if there are no any other comments from any side, any perspective, please let me know, and we will go forward to our lives with a richer mind and heart.
Yeah. Thank you. Catalina, if anybody would like, I can take photographs of these pages and then I could send it to an email that you can just pop in my email box, so that if everyone would like to re-look at the lecture and watch this again. So it awakens
Would be fantastic. This
the
would be
magic of the
fantastic.
complexity of seeing and feeling and believing and knowing and everything at the same time.
And the next time it's gonna be the first time, like with the donkey, right? We're gonna have a new experience. So we take our lessons. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
You
Bill.
were
That's great.
you were the best group that I had this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bill.